I'm wondering if you have caught any of the segments of this volume. If you had noticed that this book has been on my desk. And it was there because even seeing the book is a source of inspiration to me. But because it reminds me of all that I had read inside concerning the Holy Spirit, and I recommend it highly. Next to the scriptures, it's one of the best. It's not easy reading, but it is available. And as I say, I think you would benefit if someday you were able to get a hold of it and took it to heart. At the end of this volume, I think the address will be given to you. So if you have the inclination, or if someone wants to buy you a present, it's a good one. Now to get to the point, which could be very easily forgotten if we don't pay attention. And what is it? It's what seems to be coming through the rumblings of the lay people. Father, I heard a priest, he's not calling it a sacrifice. It's a fellowship. And I watched him and I listened to him while he was holding the host and the chalice. And he didn't say the words that I usually hear or I read in my missal. What's going on? And when I hear this, and I've heard it more than once, I have to say within my heart, oh, it's happening. There is a prophecy in the prophet Daniel which speaks of the sacrifice being illegal, outlawed, for some 3.5 years. It's very difficult to decipher that and know exactly what is being said. But if the enemy, and I do believe that the church has been infiltrated, and I believe also that the church could not be destroyed by dictators, as many attempts were done, put forward to do this, nor was it ever destroyed by the immoral conduct, or even of leadership at times in past history. But now it could be destroyed by way of the Trojan horse, by way of the enemy infiltrating into its ranks. And there are many books that are written, like The Unicorn in the Sanctuary, that's only one, but others, which makes it necessary for us to put up our antennas and to become more alert of the possibility that the enemy is so working within the church as to vitiate, destroy, invalidate the sacrifice. You know, the Jewish people in the Old Testament, they had their sacrifice, and the temple was destroyed, and with the temple, so was the sacrifice. But right from the beginning, Jesus introduced us to the sacrifice. Even the Last Supper was a prefiguration of the sacrifice of the cross. And the Mass is a continuation. It's not a substitute, nor is it an addition, but it's a, if you can understand, like a prolongation, where you and I were not at the foot of Calvary. We did not witness what happened there. But through the sacrifice of the Mass, when the priest first over bread says, "This is my body," and then separately, "This is my blood." When the blood is separated from the body, death ensues. And so there is a mystical death that takes place. And it's essential to the sacrifice. As Christ's blood was separated from his body, he died. And that was the sacrifice. And so the Mass, as it has come forth right from the time of the Last Supper, with the apostles being the first priests, has been a sacrifice, the unbloody sacrifice of the cross. The priesthood is essential, for it is not anybody and everybody that can present themselves and say, this is my body. Nothing happens. How do you know? It's our faith that the apostles were ordained priests, and the power passed through them to their successors, the bishops. And the priest, who I am, is only a helper or an arm of the bishop who holds the real apostolic authority. So when the priest, who is the confector, if you can understand that word, and it's not a bad word, it's true, he confects the sacrifice. It comes to be because of the fact that he has been ordained as a priest of God. And God, Jesus as God, passes this power of this is my body, which Jesus said, this is my body, this is my blood. He did not say, this is a memorial. He said, do this in memory of me. But what was the memory? Not simply, well, this is a memory. No, this is my body. This is my blood. The verb to be is very powerful. When anyone dares to pretend to be a priest, or maybe even is ordained as a priest, and begins to tamper with the words of consecration, the beginning is not immediately with the consecration, so as not in any way to be abrupt. Many times the words are coded in different ways so that the people are not aware. But if there's a tampering with any part of the structure of the Mass, it's like a weakening of the dike. When a priest says, well, I'm going to say this, I know the Missal says that. I know this is the way it's approved, but in this day and age, I can say that. And it's more meaningful. And besides, I want to use that inclusive language. That's tampering with the Scriptures. That's tampering with the edicts of the Holy Fathers down through the line, who have set forth how this Mass is to be celebrated, and the words that are to be said, and the words of consecration. So if any priest takes the initiative, say, nah, this would be more meaningful. And do you know what really is so meaningful, has become so meaningful for many? It's the fraternity, the socialness, the community. And they leave behind the vertical, the relationship with Jesus. Oh, let's shake hands. Oh, it's all right. But if you're going to just be social, this is a community getting together without the real action that people came to participate in, then there's something wrong. You see behind me the cross, the crucifix. Now that horizontal bar needs the vertical. That's why we have that as a real meaningful symbol. Not only the cross, but of course the crucifixion, Jesus' corpus upon it, but the cross. That gives us the idea that my life is to be vertical and horizontal. But that horizontal will not stay by itself unless there's the vertical. What does that mean? It means unless I am connected with God, unless there's a relationship, unless there's a development of my spirituality, unless I live by faith and trust and love and obedience, I just cannot go and be nice to people. Because I have to be connected with the Lord. And the Lord sends me out to people. The Lord is the one who designates apostles, evangelists, and missionaries. The Lord is. And so the vertical I must be connected with Jesus, and certainly with his church. And then I can be horizontal. Because the Lord said, I am the vine and you are the branches. I am the vine and you are the branches. If you're not connected with me, as a dead branch is cut off and thrown into the fire. So anything that I do has got to be done because Jesus wants me to do it. And if I go out and I'm fraternal and social, just because it makes me feel good, that's not pleasing to the Lord. And you know the Lord, by way of his bottom line, said, I was hungry and you gave me to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me to drink. The Lord said, so for me to do things that the Lord has given me to do, even as a priest, and sometimes it passes, and most often it passes through the rock, through the vicar of Christ, and it's to flow through the bishops, and from the bishops to the priests. That has been for centuries the way that the authority of Christ is able to reach out to the ordinary person in the pew. When now there is interference, when there are those with pride, now I don't have to tell the people that, they won't understand it. No, I don't have to do that. It's not meaningful for my congregation. Now there's danger. What to do? That's a very difficult question. What to do? I don't even know the answer to that one. Prayer, of course, but someone has to be notified that the Mass in this parish church is not valid because it's spreading and the enemy is doing it. I'm going to have to leave you with that. If you have that problem in your parish, speak with the priest. If you have to, by way of a group, see to it that the bishop is notified. And if nothing is successful, then you have to get in your car and travel to another parish where the Mass is a valid Mass. Sorry, I can't do any better than that, because the situation is a very serious one and it needs authority that it be rectified, and I'm not authority. There is hope, because the Holy Spirit is still in charge of the church. He knows what's going on. And he's not going to let the lay people suffer because of the lack of responsibility on the part of the pastor. Somewhere along the line, the flock will be preserved from being led too far astray. And that is hopeful.